Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a superhero movie review and I'll be having a look at the movie Electra. Now, I'm not actually talking about the Jennifer Garner Electra film. It was actually a film in 1996 called Electra starring Shannon Tweed, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the Marvel character. In fact, it's barely a superhero film at all, and I was kind of deciding whether to put it in a superhero category or just a B-movie, to be honest with you. But I decided to go for a superhero category because it is a film that is based on super people, and there's bad guys and good guys, and you know, the sort of costumes to a certain degree. So I'm going to class it as a sort of superhero film. Although strictly speaking, you could call it a super villain film more than anything else. So let's get the basic plot out of the way. This film is about a young man ultimately who has been given some kind of serum created by his father that was originally designed to sort of cure him of some kind of disease that he had when he was younger, and has done that, but it's also given him kind of superpowers. His mother died a long time ago, and his father remarried another woman played by Shannon Tweed called Lorna, obviously then his stepmother. And then a bit more recently, his father has died as well, so at this point in time he's just living with his stepmother, and she's basically got her eye on him and you know, sort of lusts after him at every opportunity ultimately. And there's a kind of an evil bad guy who's got this kind of the head of this kind of multi-billion-dollar corporation, who is the most hammy supervillain you've ever seen, and with a kind of like electronic wheelchair that will make Professor X jealous. And he's got a bunch of hench people, including his two kind of bodyguards, who are these two stripper women that he decides that he wants to get this serum for himself to sort of cure him and everything, and take over the world. And apparently the only way this serum can actually translate is through sex. The idea here being that he has to try and get someone to seduce the Billy, who is the kind of, I guess, the hero of the piece, and you know, he tries with his kind of two sort of stripper sort of henchwomen, and ultimately he kind of manipulates Lorna, his stepmother, into ultimately shagging him and getting the super powers herself, and ultimately so she can transfer it to him. So there you go, that's like the nutshell. Now, this film is obviously made to be a kind of almost a softcore porn kind of vehicle for Shannon Tweed, who was kind of one of these 90s sort of stars that were kind of did a lot of these sort of fairly tame sort of sex films, if you know. I mean, not so far as porn as such. I mean, if you don't know who she is, she's basically, I'm not sure if he still is, but she was married to Gene Simmons for a while. She may still be, I'm not 100% sure about that. And she did a bunch of these kind of like sort of softcore sort of sex films. Really, they're not porn as such. They did have plots and an actual narrative, but they had plenty of sex scenes, and it was pretty much just an excuse to get her out of her clothes pretty much at every opportunity. And this one's really no different. Although the interesting thing here, now if you're familiar with the actual term, the Electra complex, and obviously I get the impression that the film, that's what it's trying to play on. And that itself is actually was borrowed of a Greek mythical character. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about this film and what it's actually like. We hear this phrase a lot, so bad it's good. And I don't really use it a hell of a lot, but in this time I'm actually going to use that phrase, because this film is so unbelievably cheesy and bad, it makes it genuinely entertaining to watch. The closest film that I can compare this to is actually going to be this 1960s Batman porn version without the actual hardcore sex scenes. But that's the closest film that I can actually think of to what this film is actually like. So the bad guy is kind of this mega campy guy with kind of crazy hair and this sort of like teched out wheelchair with all gadgets and stuff on there. And he's like massively sort of chewing the scenery whenever he gets the chance. He's got these two stripper women who are constantly in stripper sort of bondage gear all the time, who are sort of deadly killers and are flipping all over the place and things like that. And you know, we have the hero of the piece, and we know he's super strong. He pretty much has undefined superpowers, and it's just, you know, it's just one silly set piece after another. The fighting choreography is ridiculously bad. The acting is way hammy and over the top. The actual kind of the main hero guy is so wooden, it's unbelievable. I mean, Shannon Tweed is kind of, you're probably watching it for her, to be fair, and she's kind of, she's sort of fairly seductive in it, to be honest with you, and I guess that's probably why you're going to want to watch this film, if there's any reason. But it's quite funny to look at, as I say. I mean, even when you go to like the bad guy's lair, he's got this like all these tubs in the corner that say like limbs and ribs and things like that, and all these henchmen that aren't the sort of the strippers with these little red berets and things like that. And it's so cheesy. It just makes you laugh. It genuinely is an amusing film to watch. And when we have these kind of the powers on display, we see there's a fight towards the end of the film where we have Lorna, who is played by Shannon Tweed, fighting Billy's kind of girlfriend, who's also powered up at this time, and they kind of jump in the air and are literally hissing at each other like cats, but sort of magically sort of stay in the air when they're jumping and fighting each other for a good probably couple of minutes. It's so silly, but like I said, it is entertaining to watch. In regards to the sort of the kind of the sex side of stuff, there's a couple of, there's nothing too hardcore in here, to be honest with you, but there's a fair bit suggested. There's a few boob shots in it, and Shannon Tweed has a kind of a semi-naked shower scene, but that's the only one that she actually has where she's actually naked. She has a couple of sex scenes, but she has actually in costume at that point. So I guess it's the implied fantasy of this kind of this fantasy of a young man sleeping with his attractive stepmother and things like that, and these sort of women ultimately trying to rape him, and that's I guess what the draw is here, is that sort of fantasy aspect of this man who is, to be fair, has his shirt off more than bloody Taylor Lautner in the Twilight series. But it's a funny film because it is, when you think about it, okay, it's maybe a little bit twisted to a certain degree, but it's so cheesy everywhere else. You can't really take it too seriously or be offended by it too much. But for cheesy fun, I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10. But like I said, if you're a little bit on the sensitive side, some of the sexual things here may be a little bit too suggestive for some. So there you go, 5 out of 10 for me. And leave me a comment if you've seen it and what do you think of it. Bye for now.